Up on deck, we have Gene Landreth for the birthday boy. But right now, we have Brian Maxfield Snyder. Give it up.
God, this mic is really stuck to this thing. All right, so I learned something about myself by asking my wife the following question. What percentage do I irritate you? And she said, about 65% of the time. I went, what the fuck, man? 65% of the time? That's an awful lot. She says, yeah, but 55% of that 65% is you intentionally trying to irritate me. And I went, fuck, she's right. God damn it. I have mental problems. I get it. I have things I need to work through, and I'm going to work through them on this stage right now. But I try to make it up to her. Like, for example, our wealth distribution within our marriage is a 90-10 split. She gets 90% of everything, I get 10%. She gets 90% of the bedroom space and the bed to woman spread, and I get 10% to fall out of bed and hit my head on the nightstand. She gets 90% of the counter space in the bathroom for her makeup and her mushroom collection and her coins and her rock collection. I get 10% for my toothbrush. So it's really, visually, to give you a visual idea, our wealth distribution in our marriage is the equivalent of a mullet. Which makes sense because I'm business in the front and she's party in the back. Are you partying in the back right now? Yeah, I mean this place I fucking hate. Wild Eye Pub. Yeah. Wild Eyes Wide Shut, right? So, but you know, sometimes I go too far when I irritate her. And I irritate her so much, like sometimes when we go to bed, she builds a comforter wall and then makes me pay for it. She gets very, very, very Trumpy when she's in bed. And, you know, there's a thing, you know, there's a parallel. There's a deep psychological thing that happened, and it has to do with my grandmother, Gammy. And now, I know, get your mind out of together. I don't want to shtook my grandmother, all right? It just, my grandmother was this funny woman. She was about like this tall, and she had blonde hair, much like my wife. But she was hilarious. She was so fucking funny all the time, unintentionally and intentionally. For example, she used to carry on her key ring this little medallion that said Mustang Ranch Crib Number 1. Now, if you don't know what the Mustang Ranch is, it's a brothel in Nevada. Now, Cosmo would know. He's not here, but I think he's recovering from gout, and he's probably at the Mustang Ranch right now. But she was just hilarious, you know. Like I remember when I was about 7 years old, my father was coming over to pick up my grandmother and I because we were going out to dinner. My grandmother was in the bathroom putting on perfume, and my father comes in and he goes, "Woo! Smells like a whorehouse in here." And my grandmother Gammy says, "How would you know, Bob?" I mean, she had those one-liner zingers, right? She would do that all the fucking time. And so I remember when I was about 21 years old, I took my girlfriend at the time to visit my grandmother in her assisted living facility. And I thought that was the sexy thing to do, was to take your girlfriend to visit your 88-year-old grandmother in her assisted living home. And that is why most of my relationships only last about a year, and I got married at 40. So that's you get an insight into my life here. But so I took my girlfriend, and we're having lunch with my grandmother, and everything's going lovely. And then my grandmother looks at my girlfriend, and out of nowhere she says, "What's your bra size?" "Mine's a double D." And my girlfriend looks at me with this, what the fuck did your grandmother just ask you right now? And I'm like, I don't know, it's Gammy, I'm sorry. You know, what can I do? And so she says, a C? And she goes, that's what I thought. And so, but I think the seed of it is, I remember when I was about 7 years old, and my grandmother had to go to the doctor because she had to get medicine for her thyroid. And we went to the doctor, and there's this parking structure, and you know there's a gate with the ticket booth, you gotta pull out the ticket. And she went to grab the ticket, and she dropped it, and she goes, oh, balls! And I went, oh, that was awesome! She got so fucking irritated, and I loved it. I thought it was the greatest thing on earth. And plus balls, just say, oh, balls. I mean, balls are annoying, they're irritating, so it makes sense. They get in the way to say, oh, balls, when you're frustrated, right? But I loved it, and I wanted more of that. So what I did is like every time I had an opportunity, I irritated my grandmother to get her attention, much like my wife. And so what do I do? Like when my dad and I would go to the movies or the video store when there were video stores, and my grandmother would say, get something that make me laugh. And we go to the video store, we get a comedy or something, and then intentionally we come home and she go, what movie did you get? We said, we got Goodfellas. And she hated violence. She goes, ah, God damn it, why the hell did you get that movie? That horrible movie. That son of a bitch, Martin Scorsese. Horrible. And we went, no, Gammy, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. We got grumpy old men. She said, oh, that's good. And every time I went to the video store, we did the same fucking thing. We said Goodfellas. She'd go, ah, God damn it, what the hell? And so I would do this, you know, when Gammy and I would watch a movie, we'd sit on the couch, and behind the couch there was this window. And she would open it up to get some fresh air. But every time she left it open, she'd always go, rub her neck and go, I feel a draft on my neck. And that became like a catchphrase for my brother and I feel a draft on my neck. And so what I would do is in the winter, I would stealthily reach around and open up the window and then just wait and see and watch her get irritated. And then she'd start rubbing her neck and go, I feel a draft on my neck. And I go, well, yeah, it's because the window's open. She go, God damn it, Brian, why the hell did you do that? You don't leave the goddamn window open in the middle of winter. What's wrong with you? But occasionally, even if it wasn't open, she'd still go, I feel a draft on my neck. And I go, yeah, I left the window open again. She'd go, damn it, Brian, I told you not to do that. Why'd you do that? And I said, I'm just joking. And she said, why'd you tell me it was open? I said, because it's hilarious when you're upset. And so I think, you know, there's a parallel between my grandmother Gammy and I. I loved her, and I loved her sense of humor. And I think what it was, and it's the same thing with my wife, we had this love language of comedy through irritation. And so, like, for example, my wife, we were set up on a blind date. See, you got that. And so, before we went on the blind date, we were sexting each other. See, I just did that to irritate you. I did that just to irritate you. So we weren't sexting. We were texting, and so I wanted to say something to her because I thought, I'm going to say something, I'm going to make a joke, and if she doesn't laugh, we're not going to be friends, it's not going to work. And so I texted her. I knew that she had cancer, right? But I didn't know what. So I texted her, what type of cancer did you have? And then I waited and I said, testicular? And she responded simultaneously with prostate. Exactly. I said, this is my person. And so, so what I'm trying to say is that, you know, the other evening, my wife and I were in bed, and she was looking at me down over her comforter wall. And she said to me, you know, I've been doing some genealogy research, and I found that when I was living in Oakland in my 20s in my punk rock house, it was only 3 blocks from where your grandmother raised your father in the 1940s. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. And she's like, yeah, right? And then she was saying, like, you know, she's been thinking about death a lot lately and about the idea. Gammy died in 2002. And she was thinking, you know, I wonder if sometimes when people die, their spirits revisit the places that they love. And maybe there was a point when I was in my late 20s that she and I crossed paths. And she saw me being funny and punk rock-like, and she said, oh, I like her, she's funny. She's hella punk. And she's got double D's. I'm gonna introduce her to my grandson. But first, the only way I think they can meet is if she gets cancer.
Oh my God.
So I think my grandmother gave my wife cancer. Just so that we could meet. All right, everybody, listen. Happy birthday, Gene. You are so fucking funny, man. I love your comedy, and you are intentionally and unintentionally funny, and I love you, buddy. And I hope you have a wonderful evening celebrating your very talented life. And thank you, everybody, for listening. I'm Brian Maxfield Snyder. Thank you so much.